Thank you all for being here today. We have what we believe will be a very impactful but brief encounter with my dear mentor, guide, friend, and family member, the Honorable former President of Liberia, Her Excellency Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf. I, I felt a little unworthy to introduce her myself. So I looked within the landscape of Ghana and I said, there's a whole bunch of women who've been first in Ghana before. And did you know that in 2009, we had our first female attorney general and minister of justice? So I knocked on her door and said, I am not worthy. I am not worthy to introduce this giant, this living legend. So it gives me great honor to invite to the stage the Honorable Betty Moldidrisu to formally welcome Her Excellency to the stage. Can you help me celebrate her with a round of applause?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I don't know if that's why I've said she suddenly broken out in a sweat. Her Excellency, President Emin, so former President of the Republic of Liberia and Nobel Peace Yawa, my dear sister, founder of Medium Ladies Network, yes, she is our gracious distinguished sisters, ladies and friends, and all other protocols observed. What a room! What a room! Look around and see the gathering. This is what women investing in other women. This is what looks like. Let me commend the Leading Ladies Network and Yawa Hansen-Quao for making this afternoon possible. And she's indeed bold. It takes a boldness to pick up the phone and call a former head of state from a different country and say, I would like you to sit with my women today, when she only has less than an hour spare in her schedule. This is what we need in Africa, this kind of audacity. And this is what she and her network have been doing. I am humble of almost 47 years at the back. And I have some of my juniors here today, and even them, I don't know what's the how many years do you have? Look at that. And I know Christy, the chair of our African Women Lawyers, she has what, 30 years almost. But can you imagine? Who else is waving here at the back? Gloria Oforibuedu, chair of the International Federation of Women Lawyers, Ghana. How many years do you have for it? 36. And they are all so, I call them my little girls. But for President Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf, she refused to be put into that box, which we women, especially we in politics, are frequently put into. The box of not being able to continue further in what you believe in, because you are an African woman. You are therefore second to the men, and you are bound by the traditional cultural barriers and stereotypes. But with our former president, she refused to be stopped. And let us congratulate her for just that. She was imprisoned. She was exiled. She ran for office and lost. And she got up and she ran again. Until the entire nation trusted her enough to lead them out of war and start rebuilding. This is a woman who the whole Africa has looked up to. For women of my generation, She has always proved what you and me, those of us in this group, that we can do it. She didn't wait for permission. Didn't wait for her husband and her father and her brothers to tell her, oh yes, okay, you can go ahead, be support. She stepped forward anyway. The quality that we admire and we have inculcated and we should continue inculcating in our girl children. Some of us and the president, so we're very few men. Even at the Ghana bar, when stuff. I think that there were 60 of us in the class, the LLD class, and there were 9 women. And it's a difficult, profession to be in. I had women around me, and we were able to support to have the first woman Chief Justice of Ghana. And then we also had the second woman Chief Justice of Ghana. And we supported them, not because we were politically inclined with them, not because of the politics, but for me, it's always because she was a woman. And when I personally became Ghana's first female Attorney General in 2009, I had worked in the Attorney Generals almost all my life. How the time I was at the Commonwealth, sorry. So I understood what it was. All the photographs hanging on the wall were all men. Former Attorney Generals, all men. I doubted myself. The late people said no, never for a minute doubt. We doubted. But I knew that women, we have those innate and inherent because of our culture. But you just have to, when you stumble, you pick yourself up and you keep on walking. This is how it has to, even in the most hostile of terrain. Every woman sitting here carries the vision, a dream, a burden. And it sometimes feels even too heavy for one head. But an afternoon like this shows that we are not at the, we still have the sister and the mother, and you know that each of us has a story to tell. We each have a story to tell. So now let me do what I've been asked to do. Formally, I'm being a good girl, Yawa. Your Excellency, it is my distinct honor and privilege to formally introduce you as Africa's first democratically elected female head of state. A Nobel Peace Prize laureate. Wow. And for me, a grandma. She's a grandma. A mentor to women across this continent, including dear Yawa, who has gone very far into the emoji leaders program through President's Presidential Senate. She has led the nation through war, through Ebola, through everything you've done. And she did it never once bullshit. Us. Ladies. Look at that. Gentlemen here, you are to be the media. Ladies, please join me in welcoming Her Excellency President Ellen Johnson said.
So we're so grateful. Could you pass me this phone, please? We're so grateful that all of you have joined us for this occasion. We are also grateful that you are rolling with our punches and trying to make use of the limited time that we have with Madam President. Madam, you and I go back. Our first meeting was in 2014 at the World Economic Forum in Davos. I had the opportunity to interview you while you were still a head of state. And one of the questions I asked you was, what do you want to be remembered for? And that was, can someone do the math? 2014? How long ago was that? I want to start there, madam, because these days I hear you. Yesterday, for example, we sat down and you had two major visions that you shared. And every time I hear you share it, your face lights up. There's an energy and there's a focus. So I would love for you to tell our audience today, what is inspiring hope in you and what do you feel will be your enduring legacy?
Well, you asked me a question there, right? What was my response
In 2014,
in 2014?
in 2014, while you were president, you said that you wanted to be remembered for restoring hope to Liberia's young people.
Very well. Well, right now I believe that I had the blessed opportunity by the vote of my people. Majority of whom were women to have the opportunity to restore that hope. And I believe that 12 years serving as the president of my country, the achievement of another goal was to leave my country better than I found it. And so the restoration of a nation that has suffered 2 decades of civil war, I found that most of its infrastructure that had been destroyed had been removed. Our institutions that had become dysfunctional had been able to operate functionally again. And now, what else do I aspire to? I aspire to work with women in post-presidency. Because I'd like to see women take leadership position that gives them the opportunity to change the world. That ensures that they do not go through what I went through to take a high leadership position. And that's why I founded the EGS Center. She's already named the full name of it. I'm very pleased that it's an African initiative. It's called the Amuje Initiative. Amuje is one of our local dialects. That means, let's say, it's going up. And I'm glad today that, we have, if I have the numbers right on, about, it's going into around 60 women from 34 African countries that form part of this circle of women. She's one of them. Who already hold high leadership positions. Some of them are in parliament. Some of them are in executive positions. Some of them are in international leadership role. But they're serving. They want to do what I did. Want to break that ceiling and get through it. And so I commit myself to doing that post-presidency. And, they have mentors, and the mentors are all women who have already advanced. Or women like the head of the World Trade Organization, Deputy United Nations Secretary General, former women presidents. They all form part of these mentors that women can, on their platform as they exchange their own ambitions, their own problems, their own challenges. They are able to seek counsel from these mentors. Beyond their immediate mentors, we bring in others too, some of our high leading women who will be with them, like Hillary Clinton and others that be with them, exchange views with them. Anyway, Yawa, that's it. I've said enough.
So, madam, one of the things that first endeared me to you was a photo we have behind you. A young Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf with her hands in the air. Can you talk to us about who you were then? How many of you have read her book, This Child Will Be Great? This Child Shall Be Great. Have you read it? Because it strikes me, madam, that you've probably lived 6 different lives. Who were you and where did this spark for public service come? And for those in the room who are kind of feeling a tingle in their belly, that fire that I see in this photo, what's your advice to them? Because you've talked to me personally about fear and getting over fear. But what made you fearless? And what advice would you give for those in this room who are entertaining a dream that feels so scary?
Well, Yawa, let me take a stop. I'm known for someone who never loses an opportunity. So I'm going to talk to the former Chief Justice. Just to ask you, that you become one of those who will be the ones that have talked to our great Amuje. Do you accept?
Yes. As my daughter would say, clock it. Clock it.
I just read your bio and I thought, wow, all the many things you've done in the legal profession and whatnot. It'd be great because we have 1 or 2 Amuche leaders other than Yawa right here in Ghana. And I'd like to be able to talk to them before I leave here and say to them that you have accepted to just have a session with them. And you can tell them about some of your experiences. You can share with them some counsel. We always look for someone who's traveled a long road in their profession to be able to reach out to them and say, tell me, So now to what we were saying. Thank you.
Madam, I'll
Thank
have to
you,
add the time on.
Justice.
So the woman behind you, this young Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf with her hand in the air, those who are harboring dreams that are scaring them, what would you say?
Let me say, whoever you are, wherever you are you. Be confident of soul. Seek your dates. Even those ways are stay booked. Travel the path. That may be smooth and may not. The obstacles will come, even failures. Will be able to remain committed to yourself. You can't do it alone. It's always good to listen to the experience of others. Accept counsel from others. Recalibrate your program on the basis of those experiences. Begin, travel your path. As women, we accept the fact that we are women, have an obligation with children, to husbands. But thank God for today, we can carry out those functions, still carry out our professional functions, even be smarter than they are, the men, that is. And so, for me, I really, as you pointed to the book, that statement came from an old man, when I was a baby, who came to congratulate with my mother and just said something which, frankly, I think during my years of difficulties, my mother always said, listen, that old man didn't have anything to say to you. Just forget about that. But anyway, it wasn't something where one say I plan to be president, No. What I did do was to be active enough, to be committed enough to the things I did, to my profession, to my environment, to take a stand, to have the courage to go beyond adversity, and to be prepared to fail from time to time. And see those failures had some of the elements of success because you learned from them. Yes, so it was a rough life. And what I look forward to as I see many of you bright young faces in this room, to say we are in changing times. The global environment is changing. The challenges of our nation are now more profound than they ever were. But that also means we have opportunities. Opportunities as African nations, opportunities as each country treading its own path, seeking its own ambition and goals. That to all of you, seek your goal, set your path, stay challenged, stay courageous, stay self-confident, listen to others, help others. So there's always somebody else. Bring somebody else up like you are. And you'll find that you build a coalition. That coalition will help you in those days. We need to also reach out, help others. As women, we have to do that from time to time. So, Yawa,
Yes, yes, madam.
what else?
We have 10 more minutes before you have to leave us. I want one audience question from this side and one from that side. But madam, before I go to the audience, I really want you to, this is 2026. There's reports that say that by 2030, 1 out of every 3 poor person in the world will be African. So the story of global poverty looks like a story of Africa. What role do you think women like us should be playing to change that story?
Well, I think in whatever role you play, you have to be more committed to do what you can to achieve not only your own goals, but to see the bigger goals of your own community. Your church, your nation. And to make sure that what you do is aligned so that the response in these difficult times like those you cite has to be a collective effort, where we build our own responses into the responses of others. I don't think anyone has the answer to solve today's world problems. The world environment is just so confused. What we're accustomed to, changing, it seems. But the good part is that Africa is resolved to be a new continent. To seek a more enabling environment for the people. For poor people, As you mentioned, poverty. I think the technological world that we have, we all have to do more, not only to take advantage of those opportunities, but to also see that those opportunities are extended, to those who are in the lower strata of our environment so they can use, and they are. Don't forget, you talk about, what was the percentage you use?
1 out of 3.
Well, let me say, I think the statistics show that the younger, 70% of our people are young people. The young people in the continent, that's the future of Africa. And they are technologically savvy. They are the leaders. So whatever we do is to find a way to reach up to them, because they are going to break the cycle of poverty. Through their knowledge, through their determination. They're going to demand that we, the old leaders, should fade away. They're doing that already. Now, are they prepared? So we have to work with them to prepare them to take this leadership so that they can use their energy, their strength to take the positions that drive the effort of our continent, achieve goals. And your country, Ghana, it's one of the major leading countries. Your current authorities, your current president, leading the effort in a very strong way. So it's up to you now to give him the support he needs to achieve the goals. Others have done what they could do. They may no longer be there. In you represent the continuity. And so I think the rest is up to all of you. And I see great hope, not only particularly for Ghana and others, and for all Africa. Some are left behind, but our responsibility is to do what we can to work with those who are, and see about African Union and our Africa 2063, although nearly aspirational, that we can turn it into real programs, into real options for success.
Thank you. I want to turn to the audience. I note that this woman came all the way from Kumasi. Can we celebrate her, clock it for her? There's also someone who traveled in from Ho. Can I see your hand? Wow. Who else traveled from beyond the environs of Accra? Right. So we will give you the opportunity because you came furthest. So please introduce yourself and go straight to the question, please.
Sure. Thank you. My name is Deladem Ansi. I'm Nurturing Dreams, Ghana. Ma'am, I want to know, how do you shift the mindset of an entire generation? Thank you.
Thank you. And we will take the question from this side as well, just to conserve time. All right. Standout leader, Dr. Joyce Emefa Adokla. Please go ahead.
Hi. So my question is centered on family. Being career women, some of us are raising families. I just want to know how she navigated combining family with all the wonderful things she's done and she's still doing. Did she have to put her life on hold at any point in time to raise her kid? Because I know she has amazing kids. I'm Robert's personal doctor, so I'm the young doctor who keeps sending you prescriptions from Ghana. That's me. Oh. And I know she has a son who's a medical doctor too. So how did she do it? Thank you.
Thank you. So your young Ghanaian doctor is a standout leader, madam. So, madam, the two questions.
How do you shift the mindset? Clearly, difficult. It's got to start from the home. Yeah, the parents have to make the first steps to work with their children and second principles, knowledge gained through education, teachers, and whatnot. And still is difficult as people grow older, expand their relationships, things will change. There will be things that will go afar from what parents have thought. I think our greatest challenge with our young people is to make sure that we give them the opportunity to ask questions, to take part in something, to hold some position, leadership or active position, so that they feel the ownership of their own environment and their own country. That's how we try to change the mindset. But it can be difficult sometimes because there are forces, and introduce other ideas that may not be the same as that which we are accustomed to. But that's the responsibility of all the leaders, in whatever position of leader should you find yourself, to reach out to the young people, to work with them and listen to them. And I think, did I answer your question? Thank you.
And the question on how to balance the family raising while chasing your ambitions.
Tough one for me. Because I got married very early and had my 4 sons very early. And so my education is a little bit delayed till after I had taken my children to a certain level when I could go abroad. I could leave the country to be trained. Well, training invigorates you. Knowledge expands your ambition. And that can lead to family problems. We'll leave it at that.
Oh my, can you help me celebrate the honorable
I gotta go.
Excellency? I'm going to invite Gifty Sarpong to come forth and give us a quick vote of thanks.
Let me just say one thank you to Ghana, to the people of Ghana.